Welcome to the Boba Joe Show. Hopefully, it didn't blow anyone's ears yet.
Pretty cool skeletal dinosaur you got there. Where'd you get that?
I got him last year at Halloween. It was $30. He cost less than one of these. There's the amount of plastic in him, you could make 30 of these.
Handy as electronics.
Yeah, I didn't even know till I got it home. I was like, oh, there's this little thing. I thought it was a piece of string, and I was about to, the price tag was on it, and I was about to cut it off, and I went, oh, that's an electronic thing. And I pressed it, and it started screaming at me with those knockoff Jurassic Park kind of noises.
Very cool. Very cool. Though not what we are speaking about today, as I understand.
No, definitely not. If you like your gross out 90s toys, we're talking about Toxic Crusaders.
Toxic Crusaders. Is it toxic masculinity? No, it's Toxic Crusaders. Toxic Crusaders. There is a Toxic Avenger Association, I've always assumed. I'm guessing that is correct.
Of course, it's correct. You know it is. Yeah, you had the Toxic Avenger from Troma Films, which is a fun cult B movie that was. He's known as the superhero of New Jersey, and it's very much kind of like Hulk and Turtles and stuff, where it's this green weird guy, or Godzilla, if you like, powered by like nuclear waste or energy, but it was a extremely violent movie that's not really for kids, and it's good fun. They made several sequels. They made 2 and 3. Many years later, they made a number 4, which I didn't know about till recently. They're fun to watch, but they're very much like you've got B movies and C movies. Like Toxic Avengers, like it's real Z grade material, but I love it. It's good fun. It's real like almost like student filmmaking level of film quality.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed the first movie. It's randomly, it's currently on Amazon Prime to stream if anybody is looking to watch it through official channels. If you don't have a physical copy, I never actually saw.
It's very violent, and it's cheap on DVD. I don't know about Blu-ray, but the DVD is usually quite cheap to find and pick up.
I haven't seen any of the sequels.
I've seen number 2. Well, I own number 1 and 2. I've had them for a long time. I haven't got around to watching 3 and 4 yet. I'm actually going to watch them in the next couple of weeks because I was doing the show and I thought, oh man, I've got to get around to watching the other sequels. Because I've also got Nukem High 1 and 2 on DVD and Sergeant Kabuki Man, so I've watched them ones at least. Nukem High is probably one of the better films from Troma, and it's so over the top and gross out, and it's like sexy and violent and just crazy, and it's definitely recommended.
So when it comes to the word Crusaders as opposed to Avenger or Avengers, is it a legal thing or is it like a?
Oh well, I pretty much know the inside. Well, if I can remember it now, my fucking cheese whiz brain, because I was reading it months ago, and I've got several books going on about histories of 80s cartoons and toy lines and that. So basically, this is no different than RoboCop, Rambo, Aliens from Kenner, any other violent 80s media that got turned into a toy line. It was a straight up adaptation of the thing where they went, how can we merchandise this thing? Obviously, it came quite a number of years later after the film. They were looking for stuff in the wake of the success of the Ninja Turtles. We got Street Sharks, Extreme Dinosaurs, Biker Mice from Mars, from various companies. I mean, Street Sharks was Mattel, of course. The Toxic Crusaders was Playmates, and they went to Fred Wolf and other people that worked on the Turtles and did the cartoon and said, can you adapt this also ultra-violent thing, not unlike the Ninja Turtles very first issue where they, lots of blood and guts and all that. Can you take this thing and turn it into a kid's property for a cartoon and toy line? And in the interviews and bits I've read from this book kind of giving history of these things, the point of view was like at first, oh, we can't do this like Turtle style. But once Turtles had been done, that set a precedent. It's like, yeah, we can do this in our sleep now. We know we can adapt these terrible violent properties into things for kids. So yeah, Toxic Crusaders was a definite effort to make it more like a Marvel Comics animated kind of show, all ages, fun, comical, not violent at all, really. I mean, it's got action in it. It's a good action show, but it's not violent, and it is a very fun show. Only ran for about 13 episodes, and we got one wave of toys, which we're going to cover the entire wave of toys and vehicles in this, because it got cancelled. The show didn't get renewed. The Toyline didn't get renewed, so it was kind of a one and done.
Yeah, and it's weird because it felt like to me that, I guess it's just a kind of it's probably a byproduct of just the sign of the times where shops were maybe slower to move stock along, but it felt like they were around for a couple of years over here.
Yeah,
I was surprised
we got one wave, but I
wasn't
remember being in the
seen.
stores for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
stuff stayed
Like, they
around
were
longer
just,
back then. It didn't get pushed out immediately like things do now.
I was lucky enough to have a couple of them mixed in with my Playmates
Yep.
turtles, and
Who did you have?
I had Toxie and I had Dr. Killamore. So the two main dudes essentially.
I never had Toxie, but I had Junkyard, who's the dog guy. And as far as I know, I would assume he's named after JYD, being he's called Junkyard and also has that collar, because it just seems like. I had him. I had Psycho, who was always the lieutenant to the bad guy. And I think I had the third figure, but I'm not 100% my memory. I can't quite remember. All my Ninja Turtles from when I was a kid, I still have. The two, possibly three Toxic Crusader toys I no longer have. And I have no memory what happened to them, where I lost them when I was moving, or maybe when I was a teenager, I might have traded them to someone or something like that. I have no idea what happened to them. I'll do a quick little recap here for anyone who's not terribly familiar with this toy line or cartoon. So we're going to focus on the toy line, but it was created in tandem. It was a media brand. We got a cartoon, the toy line, and Marvel Comics also did some tie-in specials. So Toxic Crusaders was a 91 animated series and toy line based on Troma Entertainment's cult film, The Toxic Avenger. The cartoon, developed by Troma in partnership with Murakami Wolf Swenson, which is the same company that did the original Ninja Turtles cartoon, reimagined the violent and adult-themed original movie into a kid-friendly, eco-themed superhero show. And this is also by Playmates Toys, and an addendum to that, also used Playmates sculptors such as Varna Studios that worked on a lot of the Turtles line. It followed the adventures of Toxie, a former janitor named Melvin Junko, which that kind of follows the film, who was transformed into a super strong mutant after falling into toxic waste. Toxie, along with a team of quirky mutants, banded together, formed the Toxic Crusaders, fighting pollution and the evil Dr. Killamore, an alien bent on destroying Earth's environment on his toxic will. So the main difference from the film is that instead of just Toxie alone, we've now got a whole band of rogues, like X-Men style or whatever, a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of mutants, and they've toned down the violence, so it's like kid-friendly. It's kind of a recipe for creating crap, but it turned out really cool. The toys are great, but the show, I genuinely love the show. I watched it back then as a kid, and I've rewatched it since, and I've got like digital dodgy versions I've saved online. And so a lot of people didn't see this show or missed it or don't remember it. I remember it strongly and really enjoyed it. I liked the kind of Mad Magazine style humor. There's a lot of fourth wall breaking gags and stuff in it. And I remember there's one about Toxie talks to his mop, which is sentient and alive, and it just makes stupid squeaking noises. It tells him how to like save the day in one episode, and he's like, "How did Mop know what to do?" And he goes, "Squeak, squeak, squeak." And he goes, "Oh, Mop read the script." So it had really good fun humor in it.
And if anybody hasn't watched it, if you do like the Ninja Turtles cartoon, you will enjoy the Toxic Crusaders cartoon. There's a very similar vibe, and like Johnny was saying, it's not violent as such, but it is quite action packed, and there's just
plenty of action,
plenty of comedy and quips, and yeah, just a fun show. Which once again, I was kind of in my own mind, I had it in my head that it ran a lot longer than it did. But clearly now, once I kind of
Just
look
in
back, then it's
repeats. They kept
explained. Just
replaying it.
repeats and reruns. Yeah, exactly.
And there is, I don't know about the quality of the uploads, but they are on YouTube from on various channels. If you just type in Toxic Crusaders, I was just double checking they're still there. They're still on YouTube now if you want to be able to watch them for free and not look at dodgy websites and places for pirates like I often do.
Type of thing that if the if the cards had fell differently or if things had gone maybe a little different to how they did, you would expect to have seen Toxic Crusaders and Ninja Turtles crossover, Christmas special or
That would
something
have been
like
cool,
that.
man. Because we
Yeah,
did get
really
the
cool.
late 90s after Turtles winded up. The movies were done, cartoon was done. They did that Turtles Next Mutation Saban live action show. That had a crossover with the Power Rangers, which was quite fun. So yeah, a Toxic Crusaders Turtles crossover would have been really cool.
Would have loved this. I'm sure in some alternate universe it's happened.
Yeah,
They're
like
probably sick
I
of
was
it
thinking
by
about
now.
this earlier today. Like why there's so many reasons why a toy based cartoon or cartoon based on toy whatever thing might fail, and the quality was there in the toys, the quality was there in the show. So there's no, I don't fault anyone working on it, but the main thing I think of is it was a very crowded market at this point because it was towards the later years of the Turtles, and you had other stuff coming in, like you had all the kind of knockoff things like Street Sharks and Biker Mice, which were both. Biker Mice was a decently written show. Street Sharks was fairly kiddie when you watch it. It's a hard rewatch, but the toys were awesome. The toys were really fantastic and did well. Whereas the Biker Mice toys kind of tanked. They didn't do so well, but they made quite a few waves of that. The market was really crowded, and probably the biggest. I'd have to look at the actual timeline. Probably the biggest reason this wasn't around other is just that it was such a crowded market, and Power Rangers was just around the corner, and that became the next biggest thing after the Turtles. That especially as kids who are either growing slightly older or the next generation just behind them was getting into Power Rangers.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that assessment. And like it's one of those things, it's one of its main competitors is its own kind of parent company as well. Like Playmates are putting out Turtles toys still, and the Toxic
Yeah, and the
Crusaders
Turtles are
toys
still
are
there,
competing against them. Yeah, it's a powerhouse to have to compete against.
and
And
it,
plus, there's probably a bit of brand confusion there, maybe as well. You've got a green
yeah,
guy who's kind of front and center with a red bandana. Some people might just think, oh, it's a Turtles knockoff, or it's
yeah.
a Turtles
Like there was
adjacent
actually
brand.
another toy line that didn't come out in the same era was the Mighty Mutanimals from the Ninja Turtles Archie comics was going to be its own separate toy line and possibly animated show. Like it had art models made, some concepts which are only illustrations for toys, no actual production stuff, just like artwork, no actual like 3D, sculpted anything. But that was potentially going to be a thing. But Playmates went, well, why are we going to compete with ourselves with characters that are already on our own toy line just because some of them were creator owned through the guys that made them at Mirage Studios and that. But the Ryan Brown, who created the Mighty Mutanimals team and a lot of those characters, went off and instead did Cowboys of Moo Mesa, which was I think it was I forget I think it was who put them out. It wasn't Playmates because they left them. I think it was either Mattel or Kenner, one of them. I forget who made them, but they did them in the style of the Turtles with that same He-Man like scurvy rickets pose, or the legs always bow-legged and that, and always eternally squatting. But Moo Mesa came out. Mighty Mutanimals was never got a toy line, and because it was just too crowded, and they just went, no, it makes no sense. The market's just overdone.
Yeah, and if this had been the present day, what would have happened was a bunch of suits in a conference would have came to the conclusion that
Yeah,
the best way to do it would be to soft launch it. They probably would have had the Toxic Crusaders appear as guests in an episode of Turtles first, and then use that
I'd
as a
love to see that.
spin-off.
I can't believe they haven't done a comic or nothing, even all these years afterwards.
Yeah, there must be still some type of legal deal here. I know it's Toxic Crusaders, it's not the Toxic Avenger, but there still must be some
Yeah.
type of like copyright link there that stops it from being shopped around. Because I know we'll
I
probably
imagine
get into
so.
it later.
Like Troma's
Like,
still got its however the rights are, Troma still has its rights tied up with it, because on the back of the reissue figure that came out a year or so ago, they did this reissue Toxie. On the package for that, it mentions Troma Studios on there, so they've definitely got their own, I don't know, their royalties or whatever.
yeah, it strikes me as maybe the type of license that's just not as easily shopped
Yeah,
around as some others due to its kind of legal
it's a
entanglements.
shame. Like, I mean, they've done that reissue by that I don't know, that horror themed company. I don't know. It's either Trick or Street Treat Studios or Trick R Treat Studios. I don't. All their other stuff is horror themed except for this Toxic Crusader stuff. They've done him. They're supposed to be doing a Kill 'Em Off, but it's been a couple of years now, so it may or may not come out. So I'll just breeze through this bit here, and then we'll get on to looking at some figures. So had a whole bunch of cool weirdos, a bunch of mutants. The figures were colorful with exaggerated mutations, accessories emphasizing the Eco Warrior roles, like, think of like Captain Planet, stuff of the era like that. Turtles, of course, had a bit of kind of conservation themes going on in the comics and the both Mirage and Archie. And we had the Varna Studios doing these weird sculpts. We get all these extra details and muscles and puzzle boils and pimples and stuff all over Toxie for his skin's like kind of still mutating. The remains a cult favorite, fondly remembered by fans of 90s pop culture for his unique take on superhero environmental themes. The cartoon had a strong environmental message, encouraging kids to recycle and be aware of pollution and dangers. The show lasted 13 episodes and were not renewed. I was looking at some of the images that you'll see in the slides here coming up. Some of the card backs on those figures were some of the first ever. They're actually made on recycled cardboard. So they actually tied into the theme, like the figure line actually had recycled cardboard. The toy line had one wave before getting cancelled. Many of the figures eventually going on clearance. Part of the reason it was so expensive to get them now is that it didn't sell so well. They didn't make that high volume compared to Turtles. So if you're trying to buy any of them now, loose or on, even loose, they're very expensive. On card, the prices are astronomical. If I'd picked up the ones I wanted 10 years ago, I could have got them. Now, just getting a loose, no accessory figure is real expensive, talking like $50 each plus. And if you've got it with accessories, about 100 Australian dollars each. And it's like, they've just gone way out of my price range. But first up is old Toxie.
Beautiful figure. I was delighted to get this figure. I remember I was uptown with my older sister and she bought me this. She was good for buying me treats anyway, but I think this is it was probably to placate me and to keep me quiet until we get home. She got me this figure and oh man, my mind was blown. See that little plastic baggie that comes with the glow in the dark head inside it?
What's hiding in
Like
there?
I had that I had that for days before I opened it because I was agonizing over whether or not to open it or not. Like I was just whatever it is, will I be able to get it back inside once I open it? Yeah, but it comes with a little glow in the dark base that I think you're supposed to, once you buy the individual figures, they all come with these little glow in the dark accessories that you can collect, separately, and you can
Your
pour
volume's a
your
little low there for
ooze
some
on.
reason.
Oh yeah, am I coming in okay? My
Yeah,
cat
there you
was
go. Yeah.
my cat was kind of pulling on the wire as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so yeah, these little plastic glow in the dark heads inside the baggies were a real intrigue to me as a youngster. And yeah, like I said, I did not open mine for days before getting it because I didn't know what it was. What's in the bag? Is it a cat? Is it a dead cat? I don't know. But yeah, really, really cool looking figure. And one thing I always remember is just the vibrancy of the green. His green seems so much more brighter than any of my Ninja Turtle greens. He just seemed so vibrant, and
That's what I
he's
got
just
in
a
the
great
reissue
looking
one.
figure. Yeah, it was something like that that came in the
It's
baggie
like
with the
transparent.
original.
If you get enough light, the sunlight's coming in there. Almost looks like a little venom head or something with the teeth on it.
Yeah, the one that came with the original was more like your typical glow in the dark kind of yellow plastic.
Yeah, I think that one came with my 7-inch Super 7. The other one has the typical like yellowy glow stuff. But I'm not sure where he is. He's up there somewhere. I think he's hiding in one of the garbage cans.
Such I don't know, you get total Turtles vibes though, even looking at that packaging, looking at that
Yeah,
card. It's
and
just
they have the same accessories, always in like one color, like Turtles and Masters. The accessories always like just one solid color and unpainted, which looks in one way it looks kind of lazy, but it's also just part of that vibrant color scheme of that era.
I managed to, like, as a kid, he stayed kind of united with his mop and flag accessory, but I lost
Yeah,
pretty much everything else. Like I lost
yeah, the little
obviously the
grenade things
Crusaders
that go
bit.
on
Yeah,
his
the grenades, yeah,
belt.
all gone.
It's got
Yeah, they
nodules on there
disappeared.
for the grenades, but they kept falling off, so I put mine away.
It's a really cool effort they put into that redone figure you got there. Like
Yeah,
it's
the race is
very
fantastic
intentional.
because I don't know if that had access to the molds or not. They said it was more like a recreation, but if you had them side by side, other than the ones very new and that in the colors, you can't really tell the difference. They also got that same Varnish Studios thing. They got the old boot where the toes like split and the toes are sticking out.
I felt like one of those type of characters there recently. One of my favorite pairs of trainers. There's a big rip in the side of it now, and my toe was
Yeah,
sticking out through it. I was a Playmates action figure in real life.
like the a lot of the Playmates sculpts have the kind of busting out bodybuilder muscles ripping out of the clothes, but at least with the Toxic Avenger, the precedent for that in the movie, where his clothes are all ripped, and it's pretty much like the Hulk '70s TV show where he's just kind of like too big for the pants and his muscles are ripping out through them. But in the Toxic Avenger movie, it's more disgusting because he's mutated, and his clothes have actually like a burns victim have actually melded into his skin and can't be removed.
Warning: this package contains Toxie, the likable, lumpy-headed hero. What a great description. He is very
It's
lumpy.
cleanup time. Yeah, I love the little slogans and stuff they come up with.
Yeah, we got hideously deformed creatures of superhuman size and strength.
Yeah, they used to say that in the show all the time.
And you mentioned, of course, also that these are some first examples of recyclable cardboard being used for the card
Yeah,
backs here. That's pretty cool.
so I had
Practicing
those
what they preach.
themes and that, and then yeah, they did actually have recyclable cardboard. The cardback's very cool, very similar to the Turtles. First wave, we get a little kind of mini comic panels telling us a bit of story, origin stuff, and then we get the same as the Playmates ones. You get the accessories. There's a little horizontal bar, and then the cross sell along with the card profile. So the exact same format as the Turtles stuff.
Yeah, the glorious card backs, and that yeah, it is very reminiscent of those early wave turtles with the kind of comic panels. I do remember this packaging well. I really pored over the packaging that day. We can actually see here towards the bottom of this shot that little glow in the dark head I was talking about. He was kind of
Yeah, I do
whitish
have.
yellow
Yeah,
plastic.
this is the largest scale one. I've got the other guy on that shelf somewhere. He's hiding a little garbage can accessory for Mutagen Man or something like that. Toxic glow in the dark blobby.
Lobby. Yeah.
He's
And
around
of
here
course
somewhere.
here we see something we often see when we look at the back of these packages and when we look through our Turtles catalogs. These accessories are slightly different looking to what we actually get in package, like the belt instead of a blue plastic, it looks more like, a black leather belt. Just slight differences here we're seeing in the design. But oftentimes you'll find with these packaging images that use imagery from, you know, early prototypes and early paint schemes, so it will never be just quite exactly like what you see in package.
Yeah, it's fun seeing the differences in there. I had a quick look over there in my turtle stuff. I had the blobby in the on my vintage Muckman. I don't have the dry oval, so I chucked that blobby in the garbage thing on the back, but it's not there. I must have moved it somewhere else.
I suppose with some of these, we kind of briefly skirted around Toxic Crusaders. There was one of our Ninja Turtles catalogs, probably from like
Yeah,
90 or 91. They had a brief little, it was kind of like an advertisement blurb for the upcoming Toxic Crusaders line.
yeah,
So
yeah. For the
we
retailer catalog.
we've kind of had we've had a little preview of what some of these figures will look like. But any of you who have been following along on our Turtles adventures, you're definitely going to see some familiar themes and designs for some of these characters we're
Yeah,
looking at today.
that's why I kind of slotted in here because we've done those other catalogs. So we're going chronologically. We've done those other catalogs, and we've got Toxic Avengers, and then we'll do another Turtles one next year. So they kind of appeared and then disappeared again. But here's a nice blow up of the original Toxie figure. Comes with his, let's say he gets the shield, like the old Rocksteady in that. We get the mop with the American flag on it. The blobby we just talked about, a little glow in the dark accessory mini, which is also kind of similar to like the Ghostbusters line too, with all the glow in the dark crap in there. The Toxic bandolier, which is the belt that goes around him with little grenade things. And he also has one eye is kind of normal, and the other one is like kind of looking up and like bulging out of his head.
Yeah.
That bulging out of his head eye. And when you look on eBay or find secondhand loose ones, that's actually a separately sculpted piece, that eye. And
Yes.
and on vintage ones, it falls out. Because I
Yeah. And
assume the glue wore out. And sometimes you'll see one with one no eye. And you think it's like a feature. At first, I never had the vintage one. I thought, is that an action feature? Is it supposed to bug out? It's like, no, it's just the glue's worn out and it's a separate piece that falls out. Which you can pick up a cheap secondhand one and have them with one no eye. It's kind of almost makes like a variant. It's fun.
Yeah, the eye used to be prone to popping out. I actually remember with my own one, after like, you know, a few months of play, the eyeball kind of loosened up, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure as a kid I had to like tack it in. I had to do something that kept it from just falling out of his head completely, because he got banged around in the head a little bit too much when I was playing with him, I think, as a kid.
Yeah.
So that eyeball was just ready to pop out.
Bloody hooligan.
He's a fantastic looking figure though, and like a great example of a lead character. And I bet you
You can see the
there
70s
was
Hulk
thousands
pants
of
here. Like the pants were just like,
oh,
that
100%,
70s.
yeah, busting out of his pants. I love that there's that's not even paint wear. I remember that green speckle being on the
Yeah, it's
pants as well.
speckled. Like if you like look at that ratio, you can see the same speckling
Yes,
on there, whereas now it's more dotty, but yeah, it's done as a style.
yeah, good attention to detail there on that
You got the
ratio.
old foot busting out of the shoe, and his boots kind of look like superhero or wrestler boots with kind of wraps around them and that. But yeah, and his back's got these disgusting boils and pustules and pimples and stuff, which is like, I mean, I don't want to get too graphic, but like people that get actual radiation burns and stuff, like their skin does all kinds of crazy shit. So it's pretty nasty, but on the figure, it's quite fun. And then he's got a little
Yeah.
belt around his midsection too. He's got almost like a Bret Hart kind of singlet on. So he's definitely very heroic looking.
Oh, definitely.
And
And
bandana
yeah,
like
just a
Rambo and Turtle style.
very colorful lead character.
So
What's
here's
the
one
deal
off
with this?
eBay
These are
with his.
unreleased, started.
Well, the one on the left is just got the missing eye, just showing off how that's often missing. That's from an actual listing of a secondhand vintage one on eBay. The one in the middle is, yes, that both these unreleased. These are all the exact same sculpt. There's no difference sculpting on them really. all you've got is a repaint for the American hero thing, one of the American flag on there. Super 7 did do the 7-inch version of that. They've done that as an unreleased one. The middle one, you can see the little winder mechanism, just like they did the Wacky Action Turtles. That was unreleased. If you look at it, you can see it's the same sculpt. It's just a mock-up. I don't know that they actually did the winding mechanism. It's just where they've cut it and put that in there, and that's about it. I don't know there's any actual mechanical parts inside it. It's just a mock-up they did for a potential wave 2.
And it's one of those things. It's a big what if, because you think that if the show had gained real traction, they probably would have churned out a lot of these kind of gimmick versions.
Yeah, I could say they would have done at least 2 or 3 waves for sure. If they'd done your typical 3-year toy cycle, if it had done better business, it would have been all right. And like a lot of stuff from the 80s, toy-based cartoons, some ran for 2 or 3 years, some were just bang. They were done before they even got on TV. They were basically not making money and too much in the red with lack of advertisement deals and stuff like that. And became a very crowded market, the boys' toys and cartoon stuff. So a lot of stuff that kicked off from Star Wars and He-Man in the 80s, the popularity of it, popularized a certain model, not unlike Vince McMahon in the wrestling, where they were going out and pre-selling advertising, pre-selling networks to get a deal and get money and then go away and produce a product. A lot of stuff came back to bite them in the ass, and too many companies got into the swimming pool and there was no room anymore. So a lot of people went bust and went bankrupt, and things went away. So here's a Dr. Killamoff, and this is often how you'll see him on eBay. His hands are flaking really badly, that paint on there. I don't know what's going on with the backpack. Dog's been chewing it all or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got one of these glow-in-the-dark weapons, and that's that typical yellow glow-in-the-dark stuff you would see in 80s cartoons. I mean, toys, rather.
Yeah, I actually, I forgot that he had the kind of soft goods cape, because that's often missing in the ones you see.
Yeah, the backpack's missing. Usually the cape's missing. Often you don't get the accessories of these figures.
I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure with the backpack you could fill it with water and it would like spurt water out the.
Oh, cool! I never had them, so I've never seen the gimmick. And they did carry over some of the gimmicks and that, like Turtles and Masters stuff. And his backpack, it's like a smoggy backpack, but also reminds me of like a church organ.
Yes. Great name as well for a villain, Dr.
Yeah. Do you remember what he is from the cartoon?
I can't really. What's his deal? What's his
Well, his face is a false facade to look like a human being, even though he's wearing that mask like this, because like the Predator, like the atmosphere is not he likes a higher nitrogen atmosphere or whatever. So that's his whole theme, is they want to come. He's like an industrialist, like in the 80s, who wants to pollute America and the world so that his whole planet can come and live here and make it more like a predator, tropical, more polluted, high nitrogen environment. But when he takes his face off Scooby-Doo style, because it's just a mask, he's a giant space cockroach. It's really disgusting.
So he sounds a little bit like the They Live aliens as well,
Yeah, he's like that sort of thing. So he's dressing up. It's like he's got like a purple suit and tie, like your Gordon Gekko style, but it's also kind of saying like the cutthroat 80s businessmen and yuppies are cockroaches. It's a bit of commentary there.
Toxic glow-in-the-dark proton energizer. That's the name of his weapon, in case anyone's wondering.
Extra toxic arms for grabbing garbage and gouging good guys, but he has extra arms because he's a space cockroach.
Yeah, and those arms are all articulated from what I recall. It was a very cool figure.
He's one of the few figures you can pick up cheap loose without the accessories and actually get them at a reasonable price. I don't know why, if they made more of them, but I see him on eBay frequently, whereas other figures not as much.
And once again, like any of these guys, you'll probably hear me say this a few times, these would look right at home sitting among your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures.
Yeah, they're the
Just
same
perfect.
same scale, same weird squat, crouching down pose. The lack of articulation, but it's pretty much Turtles He-Man. They got the same, you know, the arms go like this and the legs move a little bit. And if you try and move them too much, they tend to fall over.
Flexible alien lifeline. Connect the backpack to the gas mask. You know, great action feature there. Pipes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same little. I can recognize that bit of pipe. That's that same bit of tooling pipe you get on Scumbug in the Turtles line.
I also like this, even though this character's whole mission is to destroy the world essentially through pollution. He still gives us a nice little piece of advice here towards the bottom of his card back. He says, recycle newspapers so you can read about me twice as much. So even Dr. Killamov has given us good advice here to protect the planet.
And I like that they did in the Turtles line. The bio card was just a little rectangle like the G.I. Joe or whatever, but in the Toxic Crusaders one, everything's like themed real nicely. You got a little barrel of like toxic waste for the theme card.
I want to join the KAP, the Kids Against Pollution. I wonder, does that organization still exist?
I think they're gone extinct by now.
Yeah, kids became the pollution in the end.
But yeah, Killamov is a cool guy. Next up, we got a Major Disaster, which I did find a loose one a few months back for about $30. And he's in really nice, no accessories, but he's in real nice condition. His paint's perfect and all that. And
I always wanted this guy, and actually on the day I got Toxie, I was kind of torn between getting Toxie and this guy. I think in the end,
look at all those
I
accessories.
Went for Toxie. Yeah, all those accessories, and just the fact that he's like a cool-looking army-inspired dude.
He's got so much paint and details and stuff on him.
Yeah, really cool-looking character.
He also reminds me of character in a horror movie called House.
Yes.
Reminds me of this too.
Very much so.
It's probably because it's that 70s Vietnam fatigues and all that in the helmet, but it just reminds me of him, like, which is kind of like if you imagine you took Jason from Friday when he's in that rotting and this guy together, you know, he's got that kind of rotting corpse look, and although he's a toxic Avenger and a hero, he's got this kind of swamp thingy house Jason look to him where he's kind of mean and rotten looking, like he's compostable.
Yeah, definitely of the good guy figures that I wanted to get, this guy and Junkyard, who we'll look at later on, were probably...
Yeah, I had Junkyard as a kid, and he had that awesome rubber tongue that hangs out. He was the coolest. And he's one of the most expensive figures now. I don't know why, but he's very expensive.
This Major Disaster dude looks like he'd be a good foe for General Trag and Turtles.
Yeah. It's funny because before I just moved this guy because I've only got 2 Toxic Crusaders. This is a vintage one, and the Toxie is that reissue that came out about a year or maybe going on 2 years ago now. I actually had him with my General Trags. I said Trags because I have them as rock soldiers. I've got about 6 or 7 of them now. I had him with them just because he had the helmet and military thing. I just chucked him in there.
Of course, Major Disaster, he's really showing the duality of man here because on his weapons he also has a peace symbol engraved onto them. Plant popping backpack, mulch machine gun, muddy machete.
And all the weapons have like plants growing over them, like Swamp Thing style, which is very cool.
Glow-in-the-dark anti-toxin bug bombs. Radiate roaches with rockets.
Like someone had fun writing all this nonsense for that. Playmates fan. I used to love reading these cards as a kid and seeing all the alliteration and nonsense in there. It's very like Mad Magazine kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, we love puns for our guns here on this channel.
But yeah, it's a good look at the front and back of the old Major Disaster.
Another good-looking figure, very detailed, and lots of color here, but
Yeah.
very different
Um,
pieces. Like the
I'm looking
big
at this
difference
one, and the
between the
green on
colors.
his eyes and his chest really pops. Like it
Yeah,
almost looks like it glows in normal daylight. It's so bright. It's much brighter than that image on there.
for a good guy, he also looks incredibly evil as well.
Hmm. I don't know what the deal is with. He's got the yellow arm and the red arm, and I don't know if it's themed or on a particular plant or flower or something like that. No idea. But it's just crazy, and I can see on his rear end he's got a knife, a grenade, little pouches, what looks like an 80s pocket calculator.
Well, it could be.
It's pretty random.
It is random.
But yeah, great figure. I mean, I've been
Great
trying
looking figure.
to pick up the loose ones for years, but the prices are just crazy. I haven't been able to get. That's the only deal I've found in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'd love to have them all, to be honest with you, just so I could put
Yeah,
them on a shelf.
I should have got them all 10 years ago. Would have been fine. But now
Yeah,
the price has gone way up. And Australia is not easy to get vintage loose stuff. There's a certain number of units. Problem is everyone already bought them 10, 15 years ago and then hanging on to them, so they're not going anywhere.
I think as well with these figures, apart from the people who are actual Toxic Crusader fans, there's a lot of adult turtle collectors who probably just
Yeah,
buy them
once
up
they
just
complete their
because of
collections,
them.
they're like, what else do Playmates make? Toxic Crusaders, I'll
Yeah,
get that. Maybe I'll get some Moon Mesa. Maybe I'll get some Biker Mice or Street Sharks. You know, they run out of stuff and have to collect other things.
some nice trading card style information
Yeah,
here
I
as
just
well.
put that over top of the image here because it's the same card back on each of these showing the cross sell. So this was, I'm pretty sure this was Tops. Yep, you can see it down there, Tops trading cards. I didn't even know they'd made these cards until I was looking up any merchandise or other media from the era. I knew about the comics, knew about the cartoon, obviously. But yeah, they made these trading cards. Don't ask me how many there is. I've got no idea. They didn't come with the figure. There was a separate trading card thing you would buy, you know, packets of cards like at the shop or whatever.
It's terrific. It says he's number 4 in our top trading cards here. Major disaster.
Yeah, I couldn't even find much in the way of other images or information about the cards to even know how many there is in the set or whatever. I mean, I guess there's probably a website out there for Tops trading cards, but I don't care. I don't care enough to look it up. I mean, I've had Jurassic Park ones and Turtles ones and Batman and all that, but I don't think I ever had any Toxic Crusaders trading cards because I never even saw them at the shop. So yeah, I would have bought some otherwise.
Bonehead. We got our fully glow in, or not fully glow in the dark, but quite glow in the dark figure.
Well,
He's got
I
lots of
think the
glow in
whole
the dark
figure
pieces.
probably is, and they just painted over top of it, or at least the
Yeah,
torso and everything up is. They painted over him, and they gave him the most. Like every single accessory he has glows in the dark, rather than just one extra thing. All of them do, and he's got the most accessories. Actually, I think he's the most expensive figure because of that. Getting all those accessories, he's very pricey to get loose complete. He's very pricey as well as on card, obviously.
I'm sure there's many examples out there where that paint has been worn off, and you can probably see
Yeah,
the
he's
glow
another one that
shining
gets
through.
beaten up real bad. He's like old Luke in Star Wars, where like he's got the pointy head instead of the nose, so that gets all chipped, and his outfit gets real beaten up and played with.
Very cool looking figure, though. Once again, very colorful. Like, I don't want to say the figures are more colorful than turtles, because turtles do have some very colorful figures, but they're definitely good at like mixing up the color palette a lot with these figures.
Yeah, they're good at taking colors that really clash and contrast, but making it work.
Of course, yeah, his complete array of glow in the dark accessories. Weird pose this guy's in. Very strange.
Yeah, it's
Look.
very odd. And he's all skeletal. He's like a skeleton man.
Yeah, like it even looks here with this one. You can see that paint's chipping away at the in the glow areas. Still though, a cool looking figure, obviously sculpted specifically to hold the accessories that he comes with, which he's doing
Yeah,
while he's
yeah.
doing his weird carrying pose. Like I'm carrying a cat under my arm here.
Just a regular weekday in Boba Hicks household. But yeah, here you can see that things. I think the stuff's actually glowing there. There's just from an eBay listing that someone's taken a photo.
Once again, even though his mission is to help destroy the world through pollution, he does give us a good toxic tip. He tells us to conserve gas so I can power my smog cycle.
And he's a professional punk. Maybe might hang out with CM Punk on the weekends.
He might do. He might do. They can be straight edge together.
Yeah. Don't get on the radioactive stuff. That's addictive.
Says here in his bio that he thinks the Toxic Crusaders are a bunch of weird-looking wimps.
I like that also how the glow-in-the-dark stuff ties into the radioactivity theme.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect tie-in there.
So in the accessories, we get the Acid Rainmaker, Bone Blaster, Bone Blade, Gag and Gas Mask, and Toxic the Dark Splatter, which is like just, more that glow-in-the-dark shit on his shoes. So the gas mask, I think, is the little accessory that comes in the bag, because we can't see it there, so that must be that one. That's another thing you won't find. A loose one, you'll never have that bloody gas mask.
Yeah, I'd say it's a very rare accessory to come by. Dragon gas mask.
So next up, we've got...
don't fly up your nose.
Yeah, it's funny because Killamorph has a mask too, but that's because he's a space cockroach and he can't breathe the normal Earth oxygen. So next up, we've got Headbanger, which is a very fun kind of 50s monster movie style mutant where we've got two different characters melded together. So he's not like Firestorm and DC in one nice superheroic body. We've got two guys squished together by accident. A scientist who's like a super nerdy scientist, and then a real surfer, blonde, like beach bum dude. And they're mashed together and their body just looks horrible and looks like they got scoliosis in the spine and just demented.
Yeah, the surfer side always reminded me of that character, Gordo from James Bond Jr. He was like a real surfer dude. But yeah, we've got the mashup here of science and surfer. This ungodly abomination who's also a hero. It's interesting here. What's the deal? It says here at the bottom, special collector's edition, each figure individually numbered. I wonder.
I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't know why that's on there. It was just something I found on eBay. So I don't know if someone's added that on or what's going on there.
Once again, though, very cool figure.
See, it's got a KB $5.99 price on there, but I don't know what each figure numbered business is about.
And too bad vibes here of this character.
And check out his like surfboard with a big shark bite out of it.
Yeah, that's cool. The Dual Dude surfboard. Thanks to advanced articulated head engineering, you can slap and slam Bender's head into Fender's head for exciting head-banging action.
I don't know you can do much. All you can do is rotate them one way or another.
Yeah, just turn them towards each other. Yeah.
They'll jam together. It's funny, actually, in the how they on the front of the card, right, we get this secret toxic glow-in-the-dark weapon, but on the back, they always tell you what they are. So we have to just turn the card around.
I wonder did this line cost slightly more than like your average Ninja Turtles line to produce because of all the extra color palettes and articulation?
Oh, I don't know. I no idea what the price was back then. I think, as far as I know, the price was fairly similar to Turtles. It might have been maybe $2 difference New Zealand or something like that, but I don't remember offhand. I'd have to. Unlike looking up American UK catalogs, good luck finding a vintage New Zealand catalogue for anything. It's like you're not going to find an archive online like Sears catalogue or UK whatever catalogue for Christmas 1985 or 1992. Because sometimes I've tried to look up stuff like that and New Zealand prices and forget it. It's just nothing.
As here we've got the toxic glow in the dark yucca-muck meter. Detect
Yeah,
dirt,
that's the accessory,
measures
the
muck.
secret accessory.
Measures muck. Disgusting.
132 radioactive channels, I guess. And the Bromo Blaster. Battle bubbles with Bromo burst. I don't know what the hell any of that means.
Ender and Bender. Be a good sitcom in the making.
But yeah, a very memorable figure with the two heads, like, horror style and that. Like it's almost like the old Simpsons Halloween where it burns and smithers, where it wakes up with one head sewed onto the other body, that kind of style. And I love it. He's got the surfer shirt and glasses, the scientist or angry nerd shirt with the kind of pens or things in it and a little bow tie. And just such a cool figure.
Very cool. Very cool design. Very unique.
Good close up there. You can see all the splatter paint stuff they put all over him.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, you do wonder, like, did all this not extra articulation, but even just persnickety articulation, did it drive up the price of the toys a little bit, maybe? Who knows?
I imagine, as far as production costs, I imagine it must have been a bit high because they do have a lot of deco and paint and stuff on there.
Nice touch that we see that you can actually see this dude's arm around his back as well, which is pretty cool.
And they've even got, look, up the corner there, we've got the underside of the feet, and that image is especially there for Zazel. So if you're out there, Zazel, watching this, there's an image of one shoe, one no shoe, just for you. Not nice, stinky close up, just for you.
Oh, sticking out there. Got a good sniff of that.
It's almost like you can tell it's those Playmates Finest Studios when they see the one shoe, one no shoe business. It's like a kind of trademark.
Headbanger, the hideous two-headed hero, where two
and we get another
guys in one.
We get another detox tip: save water and gas, swim in carpools. That's pretty bad. So next up, we've got Psycho. I had this guy as a kid. I bought him new at the store with my own pocket money. He's got loads of accessories too, which makes him also. You can get a loose one, not too bad price, but he's got not only accessories of 3 or 4 accessories. He has little tubing that's coming out of his head. There's 3 of them, and then there's 2 more, and that's a softer plastic that tends to break but also go missing, the same kind of tubing you get for the scumbag backpack and that. And when you get a loose one, that tubing is never there. And there's 5 individual pieces as well as 4 other accessories. So to try and get him all complete is just like next to impossible. Or sometimes those plastic tubes have actually snapped off and a piece of it's in his head and it's snapped in half.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me given the condition we find some of these pieces in. But it has to be said, like, once again, incredible looking figure. I love the kind of metallic gold pieces on the arm and the leg, and just that overall presentation, the color clash, and he's grotesque with his big.
I think he's meant to be like he's he's called Psycho, which means it doesn't mean he's crazy. He's got psychic powers. He's precognitive in the animated show, and he often tells you the plot or resolution of the story at the beginning of the episode, and it is accurate. And I think he's also a cyborg because of his arm and his leg.
Yes, he's got a lot of stuff going on here by the looks of things.
His accessories are pretty awesome. Let's have a look at. I'll skip ahead here and have a look. So he's got this big crazy mask, which really changes his look when you put that on there. It's almost like Predator or something. Because he's got these like bloody dreads hanging off of there, and he's got a big chainsaw thing, And then, I don't know, some kind of gun or whatever.
He's toxic tip though. Conserve water, don't wash. I can see some parents not being too happy with that advice.
Oh, that's what every 10-year-old boy wants to hear. Don't wash.
Flump pollution profit. That's a great bit of blurb there.
And like, in the little speech card there, he's going, "I told you so," which is kind of like one of his catchphrases on the show. He's always saying like what's about to happen, and they don't listen to him. But yeah, here's some decent close-up of him, and then his accessories.
You can see all the little ports in the back there where those little rubber tubes have to connect to. Just asking to be lost and broken.
But yeah, of all the ones I wish I still had, I had him and Junkyard, and now they're so expensive to get. And then him with all those bits. Man, I wish I still had my one from when I was a kid.
No, someday in the future we have to take the Boba Joe show on the road. We have to go over to America and meet some of our American friends, and we're going to get them to take us around their various secondhand shops and
you can get these much cheaper in America because there's more of them there than the rest of the world.
Yeah, we'll have to do that, folks. We'll have to
go to the Scuba Pete Toy Mall. That's my tip. Go there.
We're gonna in 2025 we're gonna sell as much NFTs as possible to raise funds to travel to America. That's the new.
I'll just sell my liver and my kidneys, and I might be able to afford half of the Toxic Crusaders figure line
without weapons.
Yeah, he's a crazy looking dude. I don't even remember.
Level is mind bending.
I don't even remember the mask. Even though I bought this figure as a kid, and I had it new and packaged from the shop full of accessories. I remember having that things in his hand, but I don't even remember the mask until I was looking up images and that to make the show on that. It just completely.
I didn't know it was a mask because I don't even think on the packaging it shows him with it on.
No, well, yeah,
it does there that tiny picture, yeah.
Suffocating smog mask, but I don't remember ever putting it on the figure. But I often get accessories with figures and just kind of throw them somewhere and forget about them anyway. I mean, I usually keep them. Like I've got on the floor. If you want something from 1985, this jar is from 85. The accessories are from several years later, but that jar actually says jar of apricot jam my grandmother made in 1985 because it's dated on there. I used to keep all my Turtles accessories in that jar from the earlier ways, and they're still in there, which is why I've still got them.
Cool.
So I used to keep them on that.
Yeah, guy,
who else have we got?
Plenty of stuff.
Oh, there we've got a close-up of the accessories there. The smog mask, deforested chainsaw, toxic glow-in-the-dark, sinisterly spiked mechanical foot. So that's just his foot, but it's listing as an accessory. Pliable pollution piping, which is clearly a prototype because the piping's all black on there instead of that orange. Global warming flamethrower. That's a great name because that's before things were melting so badly like they are now. I read in the news a couple of weeks ago an emperor penguin swam from the Antarctic up to Australia. That's not normal. This hot here, cold there. That's like a one-off thing.
Yeah, I didn't even realize he had the glow-in-the-dark plastic in his foot, so that's some more.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
Extra bang for your buck.
Yeah, it is on there. Yeah, I don't remember that, but I used to have them on the shelf. I would have seen it as a kid going to bed. They had me T-Rex, glow-in-the-dark skeleton, and a few other things. So next up is No Zone.
Never remember seeing this guy in the shops, and I don't know anybody who actually owned one. So just going by my neck of the woods, he was probably a little bit rarer than the other ones.
No, this is the point where I usually mute or turn off the camera if I need to. But for folks at home, I'm going to do an action feature. Because No Zone, I blew my actual nose then. No Zone has a gimmick like a Muckman and Ninja Turtles toy line, where you can get the little jar of slime, which you could actually buy for this toy line as well, and pour it into him, and it would come out. Instead of dripping out his mouth, it would come out the big orifice nose. So you have the giant slime dripping out of the nose, which is definitely for 8 to 10-year-old boys. That's a cool gimmick.
Oh, big time. Big time. He is ugly. I'll say that much for him.
Yeah, like they went like full on with this one, man. Like he's got the one shoe, but the other foot is a wheel. And if you get a loose one, sometimes that wheel foot is actually missing. And he's got a bunch of cool accessories. And you can see here on his accessory chart, it shows one of those little barrels of slime, but it's like looks transparent, but you know it's just a little toxic barrel. You got Snoz gun, mini toxic waste drum, sneeze shield, anti fluorocarbon backpack, and then his wheel foot. So he's got a lot of gimmicks and stuff going on, really. And you can see in the little cutout, it's showing the slime coming out of the nose, the same way it does for Muckman if you put it in his head and it drips out of his mouth. It's the same gimmick.
Is it just me, or does he comes across way more like he was designed to be a villain character rather than one of the heroes? I'm getting
he does look like he could have been a villain character. I think you're right about that. It's one of the funny things in the.
They had an uneven amount of characters. They should have had one more.
Yeah, because you got see 5, not he had 9. So if they'd done another wave, they could have got some more in there. It's funny in the animated show. First, it's just the first episode's like toxic in that, and then I forget whether it's the end of the first or the second episode. A whole bunch of other characters turn up at once, and they're just like, "Oh, we heard about you on the news or whatever, and thought we'd come and help you out." And all of a sudden, the cast just like doubles like overnight on the show.
Yeah, they didn't have to go too deep into origin stories for each of the characters. They just plopped them all there.
It was quite fun. Like in X-Men, it's like, oh, now Rogue's here, and now it's Wolverine, and now it's Nightcrawler. And Toxic Crusaders, it's like, here's everybody. We just throw them all in there.
Here you go.
And they literally just walk on the camera. They just walk on the camera from out of town. They're like, oh, yeah, we heard about you. Thought we'd come and help you out. It's like, okay, great. Let's go fight the bad guys. It's so quite fun.
His catchphrase is, I aim to sneeze.
Yeah. And, radiation type is Snotonium 1762, whatever that means.
I like his detox tip, except I don't really like it. It's don't waste paper, reuse your tissue twice.
I've used that 3 times now, so there you go. So I'm following his tips.
Yes, you must dispense with your radioactive nose juice. Put it in the bin.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have your radioactive. Only one I've got around here is this one. That came with the big Super 7 Muckman. I will not tip it out because it's very hot here, and if I do, it will go absolutely everywhere. But there it is.
Yeah. Goopy. Goo. Gross.
Nice and radioactive. But the orange looks quite cool, actually, as opposed to like the green ones and that. Okay, so I've got to bring up the next slide thing. We have Junkyard, which is one of the ones I had as a kid, and probably my single favorite figure from the line because he's just a cool dog dude. And in the show, completely nonsensical bit of writing. He's sitting around in the junkyard, and they do a thing like on the Turtles where it's like, well, Bebop and Rocksteady, how they just expose them to like the warthog and rhino, and then they mutate into the animal. It's similar to that, except here it's just a hobo in a junkyard, and a dog comes up to him, and he gets the radiation, and they just merge into one being for no particular reason, just for the plot. So it makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has a cool gimmick with the jaw and his tongue. They would tell you got to kind of roll it up like a crepe. So you'd have to manually do it. There wasn't, and then when you open his mouth, it would just go blah, and the tongue would hang out. And it was a piece of flexible rubber. So sometimes that rubber is broken off or gone if you get a loose one. But I do see them on eBay now and then, and the rubber's still there. So I don't think it's perished with age as you would think. I think it's mainly from play when people played with it and because he's got a mouth chomping gimmick where eventually you're going to chew through that tongue.
The amount of effort they put into these accessories, like even on his cannon here, it says "Beware of dog" on the stock. Then at the top of the
Yeah.
barrel, it says "dog food," and like
Yeah.
they've actually went to the
And if
trouble.
you look at the top, that's where I got that quote from.
Yes, exactly. Take a bite out of grime. Yeah, this guy would be right at home among the mutant menaces of the Foot Clan, or maybe he'd be
Yeah.
more of a good guy in teaming with the Turtles. Who knows? Great looking figure, though. Fantastic looking figure.
Like I don't have
Like
my
I
old one
said,
anymore, but the Super 7 did the Ultimates line, and then the 7-inch they've done Toxie, Radiation Ranger, and this dude Junkyard. And I have those three, so I was really happy that they've actually redid him in that. True, the smaller scale, but they did him in that scale, so I bought him because he's my favorite figurine character.
yeah, like I was saying earlier, even though Toxie was the first one I got on the day, I was, hemming and hawing because I would have liked to have gotten Major Disaster, and I would have liked to have gotten Junkyard as well. They were the other two heroes that really stood out to me.
Yeah,
Just being really
and
cool
he's got
looking.
that
Yeah,
ripped
like
clothing
Junkyard.
again with the pants.
Yeah. You know what he's missing though?
Nice
He's
tail.
missing one shoe. He needs a shoe on one of those feet.
Yeah. And check out this arm. Look, it's got individually sculpted bits of fur and hair, and that is so crazy detailed. And he's got
Yeah, man, I
almost like a
just love
Tex
that.
Avery exaggerated face, like Looney Tunes and all that. It's just like he's so over the top.
You really can't beat these 90s Playmates sculpts. They're just something else.
Yeah.
Really.
It reminds me also of like Earthworm Jim had that Pete the dog. He was like crazy looking dog on his big buff form and that.
Yeah, we see here as well what the mouth looks like with the actual tongue removed.
Yeah, that's one where it's gone. But the jaw was crazy. It opened like really far, and it was a cool gimmick how far the jaw would actually open.
Junkyard likes to keep his tongue at the top of his mouth instead of the bottom,
Yeah.
Gives him that strong jawline.
But of all the
Yeah.
figures I had as a kid, I don't have anymore. Like if I had a top three, like I had when I was real young, I had Kenner Superpowers, Batman, and Superman. I must have been maybe like 6 years old or something. And then I had this one when I was like going on teenage years, and don't know what the heck happened to them. No memory of where they went or how they got lost or whatever. But man, I wish I still had those ones. And here he is in package.
Now.
And he's got two different colors on its accessories. The orange one is like his belt.
Yeah, it almost looks like if at first glance you'd think he had a weapon sprue because of how the accessories are laid out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting actually. It didn't have the sprues like the turtle stuff did. They had the individual bits. Maybe they figured out as far as manufacturing wise how not to have the sprue on the turtle stuff. Because I assumed it was a time saving thing when they put those in the turtles ones.
Junkyard, the crashed out.
You can see it's been marked down from $5.99 to even less than that. Wish I could buy it for $5.99 instead of $199.
Oh, you'd love to. You'd absolutely love to. Though once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it has to be said, just great contrasting colors. They really make.
Yeah.
They just really knew how to make
and
these figures pop.
His accessories go with the figure backing of that candy stripe pattern. Got the colors.
Yes. Yeah, it works perfectly. Really, really does.
Because he used the same card for all the figures. Like the only difference is on the back of each one you get a profile and the weapons, but the rest of it, the cross sell was the same. Unlike the turtles where you got some different artwork, although in the very first wave of turtles it was all the same artwork. It was only wave 2 we got the individual different character profiles and that on the front.
That's right.
Same deal with Toxic Crusaders. It's just Toxie on each one, that same candy stripe pattern on each one, because it's obviously a cost-cutting thing where you're not. If we got to wave 2, we probably would have seen different artwork like the turtle style.
And once again, to remind you, it's on recycled cardboard because that's what we do now.
I love the I don't know if I've already touched on or not, but the Toxic Crusaders logo. I just love the logo. It's got this kind of like melting, like font letters and this white paint splash in the background. It's such a cool logo.
Screams 90s to me.
Yeah.
Logo.
So next up, we've got the Radiation Ranger, who was equivalent to like a foot soldier in Ninja Turtles, troop builder type figure. Well, good luck trying to troop build them because they're foot flying tanks. They get more of them.
One of the cooler looking army builder figures from the era.
I like him much better than the foot soldier, I can tell you that.
Well, he actually stands like a person, not like the foot soldier who's like a gorilla for some reason.
Yeah. And in the animated show, these were human. They're very much like stormtroopers in Star Wars. They're just They're just dudes who follow the bad guy in these suits. And they're not robots like in Turtles. They're human beings.
I like that you used the stormtrooper description there because on his bio it says the nucleified, sinister, stormtrooping soldier. So they know it's all about army building, these guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's wearing an actual, like, you know, basically a hazmat suit with rebreather or whatever. But I only presume the design of these was pretty much based on stormtroopers when you look at them.
Yeah.
Just in weird colors.
It's been a while since I watched a cartoon. Are these regularly featured as like?
Yeah, they're all the time. All the time. They're just like foot soldiers and turtles or stormtroopers. They're always running around in the background and doing stuff.
His accessories are pretty cool because they've got those extra logos on them. The stickers makes them pop.
Yeah, we've got a radiation rifle, nuclear waste drum shield, life support backpack, glowing gamma eyes, 2 toxic glow-in-the-dark landmines, and I've got the big Super 7 giant size, 7-inch version, so I got to muck around with him recently. Open him up. I like the waist drum shield because it's actually it's like a right polish shield. It's quite cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very cool looking accessory.
And he's got these hoses again.
Yeah, we can tell by looking at these that these are definitely the same as Mutagen Man's. It's the exact same bit of tooling they're using here.
So you won't get those hoses on the loose sticking out ones either.
Crusaders. Mutagen Man could have been a good addition to this.
And you can see the little tiny glowy things are the grenade things, which is similar to how in the Turtles we had the little glowy turtles.
And only now that I'm looking at this figure kind of up close, because I saw in the back of the packaging it mentioned he had like the glowing visor, but I can see now when you look at the figure, there's almost like a translucent element to the visor.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's pretty.
Like cool. I've never seen the vintage one out of package or anything, so I don't know how exactly it looks up close. But I love all the cool colors. You get that kind of yellow hazmat Springfield Simpsons kind of suit, and the little bits of stickers and colors and everything. And just there's so much going on for this guy. And he's just, to me, he's way cooler than the foot soldier as a toy. I mean, in the show, the foot soldiers are fine, or in the comic, but the toy was fairly rubbish. So I like him way better. So we're getting on to some
conserve energy so we can eat.
Yeah, we're getting on to some of the vehicles. There was only a handful of vehicle stuff, like the Turtles line. If this had continued, they would have done a heap of vehicles, just like Masters and Turtles, but it got canned, so they didn't. And some of the vehicles they did do were recycled from the Turtle line.
This one feels like they've definitely reused or cobbled together bits from a Turtles vehicle. My senses are actually exploding with all these colors on this box packaging. Like it's
like the most 90s thing ever. It's like the hideous hovercraft glides on the ground, floats in the water. It's like, sorry, if your eyes have exploded from like your Generation 2 Transformers and you gone to space, jumped over the shark G.I. Joes, now it's like Toxic Crusaders, like every possible day glow color under the rainbow in one crazy box and toy. just like making your eyes burst at the seams.
And it says as well that in the packaging it includes a little booklet on tips on how to protect your environment. So that's interesting.
I want to know if this is the boat that rocked. That's all that really matters.
Well, it's got a rotating soapy scum shooter
Yeah.
and a waste-proof windshield. Smog
They got the
spotting
Bromo Blaster,
floodlights.
which was mentioned in the headbanging figure. So I don't know if it's trying to be like bro, like surfing bro. I don't know what the hell that means.
A rancid radar detector. The fresh flying flag. Yeah, they're just loving these puns, pun after pun after pun.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a more kind of colorized, updated logo of Kids Against Pollution here at the back as well, which is pretty cool.
I love the deco's got the very like play school Duplo colors, like the crazy primary colors, and then over the top of that, we've got all the kind of green toxic waste stuff, and it also kind of looks like barnacles you would see on a boat.
Yes. And just looking like, and maybe I could be wrong, it might be different pieces, but just looking at least from what they've used for these still images on the back, it looks like some of the features of this craft look like they could be accessories for the other figures. Like they just look like they're part of
Yeah,
that
it looks like there's some
world.
parts reuse or retool or whatever here. I love a little bit here that the cross sell for the other vehicles. Be mean or be clean. Collect all these machines, which we're gonna see. There's a nice close up here, thanks to someone's eBay listing who had this up there, and I can see a good look at all these crazy fluoro colored parts and stuff. I got pink, green, orange, blue. Antacid is like the little bumpers around the bottom says antacid on it.
I think the crazy colors, as appealing as they are on the figures for some of the vehicles, they make them look almost a bit too much. It's just like, whoa, my eyes! I don't know where to look.
I do like that it's as a vehicle. Like it doesn't seem much in the way of getting figures in there. You might get one or two on there, but it does say on the box that it does actually float, which is cool.
Yes, that is pretty cool.
And there's the underside of it, thanks to someone else on eBay. It's also got mechanical feature where, so hopefully if you put it in water, you haven't ruined it, because I don't know if it takes batteries or not, but it's got little wheels. And then on the top of it, you can see it's got a gimmick with that spinning around fan thing, which I think moves with the wheels. I'm not sure because I've not seen any videos or nothing of it. I'm just going on images I've seen online.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting bit of kit, and you can see it's definitely a hovercraft style by the shapes of the outline of it and that.
They've put out a fair amount of vehicles for only the first wave. They were really were they getting a bit too far ahead of themselves maybe when it came to this stuff? Maybe they should have just kept it with one or two vehicles to see how it went.
I think they were high on the success of Ninja Turtles. They cranked out so many vehicles. And the first wave of Turtles, we weren't getting a lot of vehicles, but as they went on, you know, we had Turtle Van, the Blimp, Sewer Playset, Technodrome, which is like the core things you think of from the miniseries. And then after that, Turtles went all Masters, where they started cranking out every variety of crazy vehicle. But yeah, they put out several works and Toxic Crusaders right at the start. So I would say they felt pretty confident putting this line out. It was going to sell better than it did. We've got here the Crusader Skater, which is a Turtles parts reuse.
Definitely. You can just see it. You can see that, whatever it's called, the sewer skater or whatever, the Turtles.
Yeah. So it's very Kenner style. They've already got tooling some of these bits. All the figures are original sculpts, but some of the vehicle stuff here, they've reused parts, which wisely so, because why wouldn't you?
I like the way one of the sound effect descriptions here is Bart, B-W-R-T,
Bart.
Bart Simpson. Do the Bartman, folks.
That's never been a sound effect ever. That's got to be someone's having a bit of a laugh there. But yeah, I love the art. Yeah, the artwork's awesome. He's got like splashes of stuff on his boots. This accessory thing. He's holding like a head of a mask that looks like the radiation ranger mask thing. And then out the back, there's a barrel of toxic waste making a big mess. Like it says cleanup time, but he's making a big mess everywhere. And it's shooting some kind of weird guns.
Yeah, it's a great irony of Toxic Crusaders. Their methods and their message did not always go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, he's got probably my favorite thing about it is that the wheels are toxic waste barrels for wheels. That's really cool. And then he's got guns on the front, on the top, but also underneath. Like, how many things does he need to shoot?
He needs to shoot a lot of things by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And we got
so I don't know why
radiation ranger is on here.
Yeah, what? That was just like another eBay listing. Someone had it with that figure, so it was a decent photo. But he's also holding the Toxie Mop USA flag.
Yeah, he's holding Toxie's USA flag and Junkyard's Take a Bite Out of Crime.
I'm guessing someone had a few things they were selling and they did that for fun to make a photo. But it's a pretty cool piece. I would happily have this if it was affordable, but it's not. And I can't even find it.
Yeah.
I've never even seen it on eBay Australia.
And we see here on the cross sell for this one, we get to see a tub of Toxie's toxic waste. They're equivalent of the retro mutagen ooze.
Yeah. All the Masters slime.
Yes. The stuff here.
Long Macy Wave flag. Oh, that's what it is. It's the gas mask stick shift. I was wondering why I was holding the gas mask thing on a stick.
That's cool.
It looks even more disgusting on the toy. I mean, on the box image, rather. It looks so disgusting. All the stuff oozing everywhere.
You were right, though, about the gas mask looking like the Radiation Ranger. When you actually see them side by side here, it's pretty much the same shape. And
yeah, I'd say they reused that part and just made it. No.
Pretty cool.
And it's got the wind-up gimmick as well.
Yeah, Toxie, very pro-America, Mr. USA himself.
Yeah, that's kind of become almost iconic now. The old Toxic Avenger with the American flags become like a thing. So the next one I got here is the Apocalypse Attack Copter, and we got really cool artwork on the box here again. All these crazy colors to kill them off, purple and the greens, and it's got a big weird handle thing that the kid's holding on the back of it too. It's like the back of it, but he's holding it. Reminds me in the Turtles line, those like kind of Rock'em Sock'em Bebop Rocksteadies had weird little handle gun things.
Yeah, even the vehicle itself, was there like a Rocksteady pogo copter or something like that? It looks like this could be taken from the
real smoking smog action.
Yeah. I love it. Warning, this package contains Dr. Killamov's Apocalypse Attack Copter.
And you get a Smogulin Toxic Tip book included. The bad guy things bad guys do to pollute your neighborhood. So there's some good tips. We get the good guy tips, now we get the bad guy tips.
Yeah, I'd love to actually see someday what those booklets look like, where they just little paper fold out things.
I'll have a look next time. Occasionally you get some of those booklets people scan online or they're on eBay. I forgot until I saw on eBay. Remember the Turtles used to come with little joke books that would fold out in bits of paper. I forgot about those until I saw them because I don't have any of them anymore, and I just completely forgot they existed.
You see this sitting here, and it's all its glory here in the back cell. Like you could easily.
It's a pretty awesome piece.
Yeah,
and the whole thing looks like a giant gas mask.
Yeah, you could stick a couple of Foot Clan stickers on this, and it would definitely just fit right in with your Turtles stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if the line had continued, would they have been allowed to repurpose more? Like they repurposed some turtle parts and stuff into this line. Would they have been allowed to repurpose this and repaint it back into the turtle line? I wonder, because they created the sculpt. It's not from the show or anything.
Yes.
So
yeah, you'd imagine it belongs to the Playmates. It says here as well that it requires 2 AA batteries to run all the electrics on this, so that's pretty impressive. Do the old whirly whirl. Ozone scraping toxic texture. Pollution pumping smog phaser. Gagging gas mask cockpit. They love saying gagging gas mask. It's like their
They
favorite.
got a lot of tubes in this line with it, which makes sense, I guess, because there's pollution. You need a mask and need to be able to breathe.
A lot
Toxic
of stuff
waste
though that's
exhaust.
easily tubes, pipes. They're always easily lost, which is probably another reason why the price of the stuff goes up so high.
They're all
when the
smoky smog pipes. That's my favorite bit on there.
They're smoky smog pipes. Toxic waste exhaust.
So I'm curious what it says. It's got the rotating, bit on top being a copter. On that bottom image, it says, watch the rotting rotors spin and the smoky smog fly. So I wonder if it's just like water vapor or what the heck could it be put in there
I imagine, you must get something to get it like a steam effect.
Get your dad's cigarette and put that in.
Yeah. Apocalypse attack copter. Yeah,
and it's got little bombs, which are similar but different than the turtle blimp ones. But they've got little eyes on them. Looks like a fish or something.
Yes. Yeah, it almost looks like a little wine nodule on it as well. Oh, it's a very cool looking vehicle, though, I have to say. It's
I like how the boxes have a warning on them. It's got the actual symbol for radioactivity, which is a gag because they're not actually radioactive, but it's the theme. And the fact it's got warning, and you've got all these crazy like fluoro colors. It was like, what is there something actually hazardous in here? I should be careful.
Yeah, that stuff got to you psychologically. Even as a kid, that's why I didn't open that little baggie for days. I was like, what if I get radioactive goo on my fingers? My fingers
You might turn into the Incredible Hulk, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, we've got the Toxic Turf Surfer, another repurpose from the Turtles line.
Yes. And dare I say, it actually looks a bit cooler than the Turtles version.
Yeah, I like this version better. The big crazy Toxie face on it. I think this is, I don't know, but I don't really collect vintage toys other than I buy the odd loose Turtles thing. I don't really pay attention to the prices and that. But I think this is one of the most expensive pieces in the line. To try and get this either loose, complete, or in a box or whatever, this is like really crazy prices.
And once again, just like when we were looking at the individual hoarded figures, we see here the message that this package is printed on partially recycled paper. So they're once again kind of hammering it home there. They're doing the right thing. Clean up or die. That's pretty hardcore messaging right there.
Actually, I know what that's
a reference. Parents would say to you when they see all your shit on the floor.
Do you know what that's a reference to? Because I remember big time when I was in primary school. Skate or die. That was a slogan and thing. Skate or die. I mean, there was a video game, but that was on skateboards in this era. Skate or die, crossbones, snakes, and stuff. And one of my teachers in primary school, he was real fun dude called Mr. White, and he looked a bit like Dave Dobbin of the old New Zealand band. And he'd go, "It's not meant to be skate or die. It's meant to be skate and die because people always get injured." So it's skating tricks and stuff.
It says here as well, real parachute material sale. That's pretty cool.
I wonder about that one.
Push the toxic perp surfer and activate the spinning turbo toxic turbine. Yeah, it's very cool. I think this looks way cooler than the Turtles equivalent with their little whatever it was called, the
I know this is
whatever it was.
Big Florida fan on the back says clean air generator as opposed to the smoky smog thing on the helicopter.
Yeah, this is perfect counterbalance to Dr. Killamoff's disgusting pollution-making vehicles.
We need a few more of these toxic turf servers around here. We had a bloody local bushfire down the road the other week, and the whole town filled up in 5 minutes of smoke everywhere.
Oh, don't like that. You'll need to be
Yeah, I
getting
ran
your
around
Gagging
closing up all the
gas mask
doors.
on.
Luckily, it was
Yeah, you
dinner
need
time. I
them
was looking out the
masks.
window and I went, I can't see the sky no more. I better close the doors.
I can't see the sky anymore. Is this the apocalypse?
There. No, it's just an Australian summer. It's more bloody bushfires. But yeah, this piece is pretty awesome. Like it's so ridiculous and over the top, but I do genuinely like it. And it almost looks like on the base like bloody major disasters being around because they're so green. It's almost like a salad on the base of the thing, all the green and the stuff.
Yeah, it would actually probably be a good feature vehicle for major disaster as opposed
Yeah.
to Toxie. Apart from Toxie's big face being on the
the big crazy face on. Okay.
Which also makes it look very cool, I have to say.
Here we got the sail, which is like an individual piece. Apparently, that if you're trying to get this thing complete or whatever, it might be missing that, and you can see that piece on the top. Will obviously easily that little loop bit could break off fairly easily. And we got a bit more of the box, the wind whistling Land Rider global anti-scum missile spinning turbo turbine. And a couple of different angles there, showing off the different bits. Oh, it's got the radiation range of face again in there.
Yeah, they loved reusing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, this time it's like he's welded to the
Yeah.
side panel.
It's done like a Vulcan mind meld. He's become part of the motor.
Yeah, these poor radiation rangers were just being decapitated and then having their heads used for parts of vehicles.
I like the reuse of the basic barrel shape. That's been used a heap of stuff. We said the orange barrel, like cut in half there.
We have seen that now across a couple of their vehicles and the Radiation Ranger's shield accessory.
I used to see online a mate of mine who does customs of figures. He took some basic like wrestling figure 6-inch scale bucks like Mattel stuff, and actually customed a whole bunch into Toxic Crusaders ones. It was really cool. Several years before those Super 7 ones existed, he did a bunch of them, and he got a bunch of cool barrel things. I don't know what he made them out of, but he made like 4 or 5-inch barrels that all looked exactly like that, but like painted up more realistic, like the movie style, like real actual chemical barrels. And he used to do like really awesome customs of like he did a whole bunch of Toxic Crusader ones, and he also did like a Kane and Undertaker and stuff like that looked way better than the official toys. He was a very skilled dude. Next up, we've got the Smog Cycle, the pollution blowing bike, which shows Bonehead, and we've got that gas masks theme again going on the front of the bike.
And this obviously it's specifically for Bonehead, this vehicle, because it's
it's interesting because it's definitely for him.
With his gagging gas mask, there's that word again, gagging gas mask. I shall return briefly. I just have to let a cat out. She's begging at the door.
Yeah, different features. This one's got acid rain, recoiling rocket guns, detachable scum scowling missiles, more that fun alliteration. Advertising on the box, they got max noxious noise pollution. So I'm guessing it has some kind of sound gimmick because I've never owned it myself. And we get an anti-environmental toxic tip book from the bad guys. This one, the Smog Cycle, is my favorite of the vehicles from this first wave of toys, and that it's like some of your turtle stuff kind of cranked up to 11. We've got a basic bike, kind of like your lowrider looking Harley sort of thing with the big banana seat. We've got a crazy gas mask looking front face thing on it, which becomes like the kind of bug windscreen visor on the bike. All the awesome green splatter all over it, got hoses everywhere. And then the gimmicks on it, we've got acid rain, recoiling rocket guns, decomposing decals, more fun wordplay there, detachable scum scaling missiles, nuclear power plant engine, toxic texture, Bonehead's ozone poking pennant pole with filthy flag that says Smog Hog. Gagging gas mask windshield. I could barely read that one. Caustic chemical containers, which if you look at the close up on that, it's got acid rain, ammonia, and other weird chemicals as little stickers labeled onto the canisters and going into the little what's on the side. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite of the vehicles. It's just such a weird, disgusting thing with like green muck all over it and lots of horrible, nasty chemicals going into his system to dispense. And the old cross sell down there of the be mean, be clean, collect all these machines. I love the Smog Cycle. Never owned this one. I don't think I even saw them in the stores. But this would be the number one piece. If I could pick up something today from the vehicles, I would grab this one. So we've got a nice close-up here of the bike. It's got nice, big, chunky, fat wheels and cool chemical dispensing stuff on the side. And Michael will be back in a moment, so I'll probably cycle back through some of these images while he's putting it on the Cat Boys. There was some prototypes that they cancelled. Toxic Crusaders didn't make it to Wave 2, so there has been some images surfaced years later on the internet. We had the Mayor, who was a figure prototype for Wave 2, big chunky dude. We got this dude who was a snail guy. I'll jump back a bit because I'll jump back to the Smog Cycle. I was saying that this is my overall favorite vehicle of the vintage line with all the crazy gimmicks and chemical dispensing systems and whatnot.
Very cool looking vehicle, I have to say. Once again,
Like you get loads of Playmates bikes and turtles and all that, but to me this one really stands out.
This feels like all those little ones. I know we've been saying this a lot, but all those little pipes and hoses, they're just dying.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate evolution of the pipes and hoses and the gas mask on the vehicle.
Yeah. It's all come together to form the Smog Cycle.
And yeah, I love the stickers. You've got sulfuric acid, petroleum, ammonia, acid rain, all this stuff going into the pipes, into the dispenser on the side.
Everything a growing boy needs.
Yeah, such an awesome themed vehicle. And all the crazy stuff, the unsanitary searchlight, gagging gas mask windshield. It's just like, it's so crazy.
Garbage track on the tire as well. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. And I love the flag of the Smog Hog.
Smog Hog. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we had Wave 2 never happened, but years later on the internet, some prototype images turned up. And when I say prototype, these are just like your basic things. We're not got cut colors or anything. This is just like, well, they used to make stuff out of wax and all kinds of stuff back then, so I couldn't tell you exactly what materials, but, one color. We've got the sculpting in there. This is just you call it a test shot, I guess. We've got on the right is the mayor of Tromaville. And on the left, I forget the name of this guy, but he's some kind of snail-themed guy. That's why his eyes stick out above his head and he's got a backpack. Snail guy. The mayor doesn't do much for me, but the snail guy I quite like. He's a cool figure. And we also got a prototype of a dude called, what was he called? Pluto, who is clearly based on Godzilla. And he existed as a prototype back then, never released. Many, many years later, as in the last 2 or 3 years, some group got together, or fans, or whoever they were. I can't tell you who they are. I've got no idea. But they made a fan version of this Pluto and released it as a small run to buy. And I thought it was just a fan version recreation, but they actually got access to the old mold or the toy, or they got something, and it's actually an official release. It's not just a fan thing. It's a fan thing, but it's actually an official release, not through Playmates, but through the licensing of Toxic Crusaders and Troma Studios and whatnot. But yeah, Pluto, clearly based on Godzilla. He's a pollution-themed version of Godzilla. Has all the crazy bits of garbage and stuff in him, like a Muckman, Mutagen Man, Turtles toy. These images are from the actual release that came out, which looks pretty awesome. You can see your average Toxie. He's 4.5 inch. So this Pluto guy looks to be about 12 inches or so. Pretty awesome dude. So he was potentially a wave 2 or maybe a wave 3 if it had continued, because it would have been pricier toy in the size, the mass, the plastics, the molding, the tooling. There's a video on YouTube. I think it's on Pixel Dan's channel. I think that's the only person who's got it up there. It apparently had electronics, and it actually walked mostly in the same way that G1 Triptychon walks, a very staggered, slow walk. But it had mechanical bits, battery operator, I would assume, which I didn't know until I saw that video. And I only found out a couple of years ago this thing ever didn't exist back then as a prototype. So it's pretty cool to see that they actually got that far in the tooling of this thing, that it actually walks around, and then many years later, we got this fan recreation of the toy that didn't get released. There's no electronics in this fan recreation. It's just a basic plasticky figure, which I couldn't care less about the electronic side of things anyway. That was a very kind of marketing team sort of thing they tended to chuck into stuff. It really does nothing for me. But the figure looks awesome, this fan version that came out in very limited amounts. And it is called a vinyl toy, so it's in very specific materials, but it looks amazing. It's got bits of garbage and toys and little figures and things all over them, quite a lot like Mutagen and Muckman sort of details to them. Looks awesome.
It's cool that he's got like a radiation ranger and headbanger kind of. You can see them within his ooze.
Yeah,
they're
it's cool.
Attached to him.
Little fish bones, barrels, and his the barrels are kind of like ankle braces.
Yeah, I'm glad that these guys actually went and put this out there. The box is excellent looking.
You can see the name says released by Ishmael, not Playmates, so that's like the fan pseudonym name or whatever. And then it's got copyright Troma Entertainment, so it's not Playmates, but it's through Troma Entertainment they managed to get the license somehow. So it's pretty cool, because there's a lot of unofficial fan stuff that comes out, these like Transformers, Star Wars and whatnot. So it's cool they actually managed to do it and with permission and have an actual copyright from the Troma people on there. Is cool. And we get all those gimmicks on the back here.
Before you shake on it, take a good look at those colossal caustic claws.
I'll be back in a second while you enjoy this.
And we also have the Tromaville trash body, the think flattening feet, the terrible tail, and the toxic waste barrel legs. No, this is an excellent piece of work, and it says here in the packaging, 30 years in the making. So, it's pretty cool that somebody else who got wind of the idea that this Paludo toy was at one time planned to be released, but it just never came about for the fact that the line was cancelled and no other Toxic Crusader toys were released officially. So for these guys to actually come along to get that license and to put this into production and make it a reality, I'm sure it meant a lot to the hardcore Toxic Crusader fans, especially, those who were aware of the cancelled original Paludo toy. It's a really, really big deal to be able to get something like this. And as I was saying to Johnny moments ago, just really nice attention to detail with the kind of sculpted garbage and stuff that's attached to him, and the fact that we even have a couple of actual characters there as well. I mentioned the Radiation Ranger, and we see I was going to say Too Bad, but it's Headbanger is the name of the two-headed guy. Definitely yeah, definitely supposed to be a Godzilla homage. Like, he's obviously so big that he's you know, kaiju size. He's towering over these other characters, even though obviously he's not in that scale when you put him with the officially released stuff. But come on, what were they going to do? Make like a 6 foot tall Pluto? Maybe, maybe, maybe that's what some people wanted. But you know, I think what we got here is pretty cool looking, and you know, the fact that these guys actually managed to get the license and put this out, it's very cool.
I think it's one of the best bloody fan projects ever, as far as the effort they put into it. The sculpting, the look of them, they managed to get awesome, recreate like the box art style and all that. And I love that doing these Boba Joe show talks, looking at old media and toys and whatnot. It's fun to discover something new about an old toy like I had no idea about.
Yeah, it's just great though to see that people will have that much love to go back and recreate something, and even like the
Yeah,
effort they've put into like the box, apart from like the logos and that, like even just the way everything's worded, it's trash body and it's toxic waste
yeah.
barrel
Got all
legs,
the
like
kind of
it's
copy and that's awesome.
yeah, all done in that similar style of the
And
vintage
they did
packaging. So
there was an image, not of this, but of the prototype one, the mock up. Back when we did one of our Turtles talks and it had the Toxic Crusaders, there was a brief Pluto image in there
yes,
showing,
that's
like,
right.
just teasing them. But yeah, very cool. And that's pretty much the end of the toy line. Just chuck these images at the end here just to briefly touch on what other media did we get. We had the cartoon of the Toxic Crusaders, 13 episodes. We had the toy line, only lasted a wave of figures with some vehicles. Some potential waves 2 stuff that got cancelled and never arrived. We did get a Marvel Comics tie-in, which ran for about, I think it's about 8 or 10 issues or something. The one on the left here is really fun because it's about last or second last issue, and it says, "Haven't you brats been cancelled?" And it's got the Corporal Globeteers, hidey ho, boys and girls. And it's got the parody of the toxic, not toxic, the Captain Planet, the Planeteers. It's quite fun. The middle issue there, number 8, he's saying, instead of saying clean up time, it's throw up time. And he's much more like the Toxic Avenger, the Toxic Crusader on that cover. It's great fun. And the one on the right there, I'm going to presume that's the Sam Keith covered because of the hyper stylized art, who do like the Max and other fun stuff.
Yeah, it has his stylings to it. Love it there in the middle one as well, as seen on the USA Cartoon
Yeah,
Network.
the USA. Well, you'd watch the wrestling. Hey, pal, watch WWF on the USA Network.
And for the Captain Planet piss take one as well, at the top they have
that's
Topsy's
great.
most
Corporal
sickening guest stars.
Globeteers.
Yeah, the Globeteers. Love it.
And this was very typical of early 90s Marvel. We still had new issues of What The, and we had all kinds of parody stuff they used to do back then. It was often kind of like that Mad Magazine type of thing with silly caricatures and jokes and nonsense like that. So, and then we also had, if we notice here, this is Toxic Crusaders from Marvel Comics. We had Toxic Avenger from Marvel Comics as well. So that one was also kind of fun. And there's a few issues of that. And we've got some Regina super glossy cards. Nothing to do with Dino Crisis, despite being called Regina. And I'm not sure if that was separate because we had the Tops cards as well. So these are like glossy cards. I'd never seen these, but then we had top cards. So there wasn't a whole lot of merchandise outside of the figures themselves. And this video game is still supposed to be coming out. About a year ago, it was due out. That G.I. Joe one's finally out now. That's very much in the style of Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, like multiplayer, side-scrolling beat-em-up, done that 90s style. This was supposed to be out before that G.I. Joe one. I'm pretty sure this game is actually finished and complete and they just haven't released it yet. So I'm guessing it'll be out sometime next year. I've not seen anything say it's been cancelled, but it looks pretty awesome. And like the video footage on YouTube, all the animations and stuff look just like Shredder's Revenge and the style of the combos and that. So I'm very much looking forward to this coming out. I hope some nonsense doesn't happen as far as royalties and rights, and they don't like shit can it, because I'm fairly confident it's been complete. And to finish off, just an image credit here. Reddit user Utah's Rad. Don't know them from a bar of soap. Just found this image online. Thought it was the only decent image I could find that actually shows basically the entire line of stuff all together in one image.
That's very cool. He's a lucky dude. Utah's Rad. He's got his the whole lineup there, pretty much. The official lineup.
But yeah, I would love
the
to
accessories too.
I would love to have all the figures. I'm not too fast on the vehicles other than the small cycle thing, but I would love to just have all the figures. And I feel if I bought them 10 years ago, I would have been fine. I could have picked them up for reasonable prices that I thought were too much back then, and now they've doubled and tripled. I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
Yeah, tap out. Yeah, don't even tempt yourself. Just don't look at them.
Ken Shamrock's got that ankle lock on me, and I'm just tapping the fuck out.
Yeah, begging for mercy here, and your wallet is thankful for it.
Yeah. It's just ironic because all the money I've spent on NECA and Super 7 stuff, I could have bought this stuff 3 times over.
That's it, yeah.
But it's just the timing. It's the timing of finding a good deal, you know.
Someday you'll scratch that toxic Crusader itch.
Yeah. Yeah, I refuse to overspend on stuff. If something's a reasonable price, I'll pick it up. But like, I'm not going to pay $100 per figure. Would you pay $1,000 to get like this half dozen figures? I wouldn't.
No,
as much as I like them, I just wouldn't do it.
I'll just enjoy them in this nice NFT version we have here instead.
Yeah, the NFT version. Yeah. Get them up on screen. There's not even a whole lot of catalog stuff because there's only basically the Turtles Playmates. The Playmates catalogs of the 90s basically became Turtles catalogs. There's very little else in them. And then Toxic Crusaders pops up or some random dolls.
Yeah, Turtles were the dominant force of the era.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great time though, looking back on these figures. Colorful and just, great designs and cool looking characters. You really can't go wrong with it as a line.
Yeah, I just love it, man. I love the figures. They got all that line of studios thing going on with the crazy sculpts and the weird, disgusting, gross out details like your old Garbage Gang and Garbage Pail Kids sort of thing. Just disgusting for the sake of being disgusting. And the show I find really enjoyable. Again, it's on YouTube. If you type in Toxic Crusaders, the episodes are on there. You can have a look. They're good fun, good humor. And I've always had a fond place in my heart for this toy line and that show. To this day, that's never gone away. I've always just really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm planning on rewatching the show soon while I'm off work for the next few days, just because it is up on YouTube. It's still relatively easy to come across, so I'll try and
I've got them saved offline,
season,
but it is on there.
Yeah, I'll get in a watch and relive the good old glory days of the Toxic Crusaders.
I think the writing of it stands up
my house
better than most average Turtles episodes.
Oh, probably, yeah. Like, it's been years since I watched it, but even I remember I did watch it still as an adult, like rewatched as an adult, and I enjoyed it. So I imagine I'm going to get another good time out of it. And if it wasn't for my failing memory, I'm sure I would have been able to recall more details from it. But it's been a good few years now since I revisited it, so it's due to be rewatched, I feel.
Yeah. Now, we'll finish up there, and I'll leave you with one little other fun fact. One of the cancelled figures from Wave 2 actually made it into the Ninja Turtles line. The one I call Streetwalker or Lady of the Night April was actually meant to be Yvonne from the Toxic Crusaders cartoon, which explains why she had the weird, crazy hair and looks nothing like April.
Yeah.
So it got repurposed into the Turtles line.
Now it all makes sense. And what do we have in store for our viewers next week?
Well, pal, I'm glad you asked. What we've got a pay-per-view. We've got the Wrestling Classic
The Wrestling Classic,
presented in WrestleVision.
which could very well end up being the last thing that I watch on the WWE Network.
Yes.
You know, unless I manage
It's quite
to
a sad
squeeze in
state of
something
affairs,
else.
really. I actually feel bad about it because the network's going away. It's all going to Netflix next year. The one in Australia is already double fucked and I can't watch it for the last few weeks. I actually feel bad for asking you to watch this as one of the last things.
Oh, look, I'd still watch it over any modern stuff, and there's a lot of other
It's
stuff
it's
that,
enjoyable, but it's not
enjoyable.
it's not good. It's not
enjoyable.
bad. It's somewhere in the middle. Well, I enjoyed it. It's a colourful cast of characters. There's a crazy car that gets given away, but we don't know if that's a work or if anyone ever got that car. But it is presented in
There's a lot.
WrestleVision, and
It
it is the
presented in
first.
WrestleVision.
It's the first of the annual wrestling classics. Of course, we got one, and never again. This was a
First and
pay-per-view after
only.
WrestleMania, and there was no more. So I love the fact that in the credits it says the first of an annual, and yeah. So old Jack Tunney was. I'll do a little sip to him.
Yeah. Cheers, Jack. And we look forward to chatting about you next week on the Boba Joe show.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, we will finish up there. I will catch you next time, folks.
Take care, folks. Be well.